Good morning and welcome back to the channel. It's another build day. I'm on the drive, not on the beach today. But today I am going to be trying, or attempting, to fit some external lights to the van. Some at the front, some ditch lights, and some spots at the front here. All using, upside down, all using the AUXBEAM switch panel. So I'm going to install that. This one is the RB80XL, I think. So basically, long story short, it is the 8 switch panel. If you're unfamiliar with the AUXBEAM panel, basically you can wire things into it, and it wires into a board, and then you get a control panel which you can turn on and off using all the switches. There's lots of videos out there on it. I'm not being sponsored, but yeah. So I'm going to wire in some lights that are not from AUXBEAM. The lights are all not from AUXBEAM. I've gone down a more budget-friendly version of lights on the front, the ditch lights, 2 ditch lights on the bonnet, and so yeah, I thought it was time to fit the AUXBEAM. So let's have a go. This, in a nutshell, is the kit that you get given in the kit that I bought. I bought the RB80XL, which is an 8-gang switch. So you get the, I don't know what this is called, but this is like the connect box. So this connects to the battery and powers the switch panel. This is the switch panel that I will mount in the cab. So you can see there's 8 buttons on there. You get all the necessary cables. This connects the switch to this. You get waterproof cover for that, which we won't need. That's the live cable that connects the switch to the fuse, so ignition on, it turns on. Some bits, various different mounting plates for the switch panel and the connector box here. You get all the stickers to customize your switch panel. What else we got? And we got some connector cables, and then where are the main cables? Oh, I think I've already taken them out. Where are they? And then you get some cables. So here they are. They're in here. So my plan is I want the switch panel either here. I think I'm going to go down here, maybe, or potentially up here. If you can see that in there, somewhere easily accessible while I'm driving, because I want to be able to turn these lights on and off. Here are the cables that you get. You get 2 of these because there's a fuse. Actually, I didn't show you that, did I? Where is said fuse? There's a trip switch fuse thing that you connect on the positive side. So this connects to the battery. So I'm thinking with this panel here that I've got, you've got the positive and negative, and on a Volkswagen Crafter, which I've got, I want to mount it somewhere around there, because then connect the positive to spare positive here, and then which is under this little section here in the bonnet, underneath the bonnet of the Crafter, and then I can connect the negative to this bit here, which is the earth, essentially the negative part of the battery. And then under here is a little like grommet nipple that I think should be able to get the connecting cables that connects this to the switch panel through there and into the cab. That's the idea. So that's the idea of what I want to achieve. So the first thing is in the connector block mounted in the engine bay under the hood. So I'm gonna crack on with that now. Let's go. Right, as all good van projects, there's been a change of plan. So I was having a look at the wiring diagram, which is lost to me now. Anyway, I was having a look at the wiring diagram, and I'll show you here. The original plan was to connect it to this box, wire it through into the cab, the wire box, and then all the lighting cables and wires could be wired back to here, right? According to the wiring diagram that AUXBEAM have sent me, you have this tiny little cable, right, which connects into this point here, and then has to wire into the fuse box, if if you can see that hopefully, has to wire into the fuse box. Now, I don't know if you remember, but this cable isn't long enough to stretch from the fuse box, which is there, through to the front of the van. So a change of plan. That's the change of plan. I've decided to wire I'm going to keep everything in the cab. And then these are the cables. They'll wire in, and I'm going to connect them straight on to the battery. Because they're being connected to the battery anyway, that's just like another terminal in the one I was going to use is just another terminal under the hood, but I'm just going to connect it directly to the battery now, because the cable distances don't quite line up for what I'd originally planned. So that means all the external lights I'm going to put on will run through the bonnet and then come through the bonnet into the cab. Hello mate, all right? Into the cab, and then that's what I'm going to do it. But that's the plan. So right now I've lost the light now, but I'm in my house and I have fitted the AUXBEAM unit and it works. I'm going to show you. The van is on, so hopefully it's not too loud, but it's dark outside. I spent all day doing this. Right, so let me turn you around. We've got the AUXBEAM unit on. I've gone for there, I've powered it there, and I will show you again tomorrow because I will come back out and fit some lights, but I just wanted to show you where I'm at. Gone there, and it's all wired in under these two seats, right? The cap, the lids aren't on yet, I just want to show you what I've done. So what we've done is, because of this cable which I told you earlier, which is the connect the fuse so it comes on with the ignition, it wasn't long enough to go from here to the under the bonnet, and I wasn't going to make a new one. I decided to put everything under here, under the seats. So this is the fuse board box that goes under the seats. What I've fitted is I fitted a MIDI fuse or a maxi fuse. I've consulted an electrician who lives 2 doors up from me, and he told me to fit one of these. And I've also run my Blue Charger 1 off of this as an extra safety precaution. So I've got a cable going from the positive for the battery to this fuse, and then it comes out of here in terms of the AUXBEAM, and then it comes out of here into the switch that they provide. AUXBEAM provide you. So this is the, what do you call it? Garage? No, this is the trip switch that AUXBEAM provides, so it comes out of there. Imagine this is connected to the power out of there, and then into the positive of the unit, and then the negative is off to a negative terminal to a negative terminal here, which is lots of negatives feeding into that as well. So that is connected into that. Right, and then you've got this unit, this cable, the black cable that comes in the kit, plugs into the right hand. If I show you here, it plugs into there. This black cable is then fed under the seats. What I've done to make it nice and neat, so I ran it through the battery bay, up under here, and then which was a ball ache by the way, up under the dash, and then it comes out here, which I've drilled a hole through the back of the unit. And basically, I'll show you in the daytime once it's all quite tidied up, is this can go back into the dash and be hidden, and all the cable won't be on display. It would just have the unit which runs down, so when I'm driving I can turn all my lights on and off as and when I want to do while I'm driving. So that is as far as I'm going to get today. Tomorrow I'm going to come back out and I'm going to hopefully wire in some lights to work. I do know it works. Hello. I look a bit different because it's been a fair few weeks since you see me start fitting the AUXBEAM and the lights. Right now, the point we're at now is the AUXBEAM is fitted. It works. I've tested it. I've got some front spots. They both work. We've got these ditch lights which don't work. They're not wired in, which I'm going to be doing today. So the job for today is get the ditch lights wired in properly. The cable goes through the bonnet. Get the ditch lights wired in so they work, and tidy up all the cables under the bonnet. Got some, where is it? Let's have a look. Got some of this stuff here, corrugated like conduit, to protect the cables. So yeah, that's the plan. While we've got a bit of light and it's dry, that's the reason why it's taken so long. It's been about a week and a half since I actually fit the AUXBEAM panel, purely for the fact that we've had nothing but rain for 2 whole weeks and I couldn't get out to wire anything in. So yes, I'm going to do that, and then I will show you everything wired up and what I've done, and hopefully bring this video to a nice close with it all working. We'll take it out at night and we'll test it all, and I'll show you what it all looks like. So that is what we're going to do now. I'm really sorry if it's windy. It's raining, and I'm just trying to get these ditch lights wired up. The last of the front lights wired up. It's the ditch light. So I just thought I'd show you how I'm going about wiring them. So I am basically, long story short, I am splicing them together, and then I am soldering them, splicing the wires together and then soldering them, then heat shrinking them, then wrapping them in insulation tape, just to, I don't know if that's overboard, I don't know, but in my head that seems logical. So the cable for these lights are tiny, so I've got some, what is this? This is 1.6 mil, which is the 14 American wire gauge, AWG, I believe. Automotive cable from Amazon. I'll link everything in the description below. And to extend the cable, so I've got 2 of these ditch lights, and I want them to obviously come on simultaneously. So this extension cable is wired back to the second light, and then the second light is wired back to the cable that goes through into the cab, which is then supplying it with power basically, which I'll run you through the whole setup once we finish. So this is the last one to wire up. If you haven't got a set of these and you're doing electrical work in the van, I'm finding these amazing. These are just some cable strippers basically, but I don't know if you can see here, they've got all the gauges and the millimeters gauges and what hole you need to strip the cable. I don't know if that's quite standard, but works really well. So I know this is 1.6. So again, I'm just going to strip some, find the 1.6 hole, go boom, bam, done. Easy as that. Should have done this before stripping the wire, but I'm doing it now, so that's not right. Some more slack there. Right, this is the heat shrink set. I got loads of different size heat shrinks, but before you splice the cables together, put your heat shrinks on, because I've done that already once before and it's a bloody nightmare and you can't get the heat shrink on. If you can hear my son shouting at me, I don't know where he is, but he's shouting. And I don't know if I'm doing this right, I've just watched a few YouTube videos and I'm going with what works best for me, easiest for me, you know? So basically I am just getting our 2 positives and I am twisting them together and calling it a splice. I'm aware, sorry about the wind. If I'm doing it wrong as well, mate, like, and you know, please do put in the comments, like, let me know I am doing it wrong, because I am all self-taught and I'm just trying to do it myself because I enjoy it, it's fun. But yeah, I'm just trying to have a bit of fun and build myself a campervan and achieve something. So yeah, if I'm doing something wrong, I am not an electrician. Do not claim to be. This is not advice. This is me just telling you what I've done to get stuff working. Right, so I don't know if you can see that. I'll just try and bring you a bit closer. So we've got our positive, negative, positive, neutral. You probably can't see very well because I'm limited on space being a driveway build, but you have to take my word for it. Another top tip which I found while doing this is if you can see any like sharp pointy bits at the solder, just make sure they're all smoothed out, because what happens is because what happens is it will tear through your heat shrink when you shrink it down. I'm very zoomed in, I do apologise. Right, so we are going to heat shrink these down with the lighter I borrowed from my neighbour, hopefully, if I can block the wind a bit, he says. Right, so I'm just adding some conduit to protect it a little bit more. These front spots are wired in together here, same way, red insulation tape. I'm going to put some conduit to go through there as well, and then that goes up through here and comes out here. I'm going to conduit all these cables. That is there in the bay, engine bay, and I think I showed you before there's a grommet back there that goes straight through, single feed straight through to the AUXBEAM switch. We've got 2 ditch lights, one here, one here. So from that light we've got a cable, and I've trunked it through the top here, cable tied it to these things. I will slip the cable ties off, and then that comes into here, up here, and then I've wired it in because the cables are really short on these ditch lights. I've wired it, spliced it, and then heat shrunk it, taped it up into there, and that joins in with this second ditch light, so they both come in and then into the power delivery back to the AUXBEAM switch, because the AUXBEAM switch is connected to the battery. I just need to remember where. So I'll take a 10 amp fuse and put it in my ditch light. Should make my ditch lights live. So of course it's starting to rain. So if I take my keys now, turn them on, I'll show you what happens when it's all wired up and you turn on your ignition. But if I turn the ignition on, right, van's on, these are the lights coming on. So with this AUXBEAM, you've got green means that it's on, ready to go. You could turn it off by pressing the mode button, but you have to, if you press it again, it comes back on, basically. So these are my spots. Can you see them going on there? And these are the ditch lights which I've just put on, and they look like they are on. So we have great success. One ditch light, two ditch lights. Really loud, so apologies. So that is wiring up the AUXBEAM switch panel with some external lights. That was a really long video to film. It's going to be a lot shorter it's going to be a lot shorter for you guys, but that was a very long video for me to film. So it's nighttime, it's dark, and I wanted to come to a spot where I could test out the new lights. So they're all fitted, they're all working as you've seen, but now let's see what they actually do when it comes to darkness. So if I show you, I've come to a country lane around the corner from where I live, and that's what you can see. If I turn this off, that is the light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the stages of each light so you can see exactly what each light is doing. So if I turn the vehicle on, so that is the standard Volkswagen Crafter daytime running lights. That is the light that we're getting. If I turn the AUXBEAM panel on so you can see it there. So that daytime running lights, right? That is standard Volkswagen Crafter headlights. So I'm gonna turn on the main spots to see what that adds. Whoa. You can see a difference, can't you? Jesus, right, spots off, spots on. Wow. Spots off, and I'm gonna put high beams on. Volkswagen Crafter standard high beams. Volkswagen Crafter standard high beams with spots. Yeah, the spots are massive. And what I like is if I turn the high beams off, high beams on, don't really add anything, maybe a bit to the sides. What I like is, because the spots are quite low, it lights up the floor quite well, nice in front. So when you're driving down country lanes or campsites like this, it works really well. Right, so now we're going to add the ditch lights. Wow. Yeah. So spots off, just ditch lights off. You can see the difference it makes. They're amazing. That's the difference it makes. So if I go, that's ditch lights on, ditch lights off, spots on, ditch lights. Look at all that light. I mean, that's perfect for driving down country lanes where all these campsites are, driving on the campsites. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Let's get out and I'll show you what it all looks like. Not actually seen it myself while it's on. Jesus, that is a bit of a beast there. So bright, it's just you can't see anything. This is all the lights. Jesus, just blinding me. So we got standard head beams, ditch lights, spots. But yeah, look how well lit I am in the middle of the night. Yes, no, so that is the lights for this video with the AUXBEAM switch panel. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to get out of this lane because I'm in the middle of a lane, in the middle of technically nowhere, filming a video. Really weird. But no, thank you for watching. If you watched this far, hope this helped. You find it useful. If you have found it useful, give us a like. Subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. But if you want to follow along with the build, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. But as always, thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.